Hello, my name's Tina MacDonald. Thanks for joining me today. Today's counselling conversation is going to be around the inner critic. Now, this is an area of my own personal interest and something that I have worked with it for many years with myself and with others in a counselling setting. I believe that how you feed yourself with your voice of your inner critic can have an impact into every area of your mental health. And when I say mental health, I don't mean necessarily an issue. I mean in general, to keep your health mentally healthy. So I always believed that in the counselling room there are 4 voices. So I know I bring 2. I bring this one that I talk with, and I bring this one that I talk to myself in the background with, because I'm human too, and I doubt, I try and congratulate, I just try and embrace who I am at that moment and what I'm actually engaging with. So for me, it might be a case of, oh, did their body language change there? Oh, their voice changed, am I hearing that right? Am I questioning? Am I embracing what I should be? Am I saying something because it comes from me or because I'm feeling, seeing from the client? And again, I suspect that every person I come into contact with or without a counselling room, online counselling, outside, in the shop, whatever, has 2 voices too. The voice that they speak outside with and the voice that speaks to them inside. Now, in a previous video I talked about self-esteem, and I believe that the tone of your inner critic can have a massive impact on your self-esteem. So if you have depression and you genuinely, I'm not good enough, I'm too tired, I can't even get out of my bed today, what's the point, all of those things, and your inner critic is saying all of those things to you in a manner with which it just compounds everything that you feel, then it's not helpful. Again, anxiety, if you have social anxiety, which we talked about before as well, you walk into a room, your inner voice, your inner critic is going to be saying, oh, I'm too fat, I'm too thin, I'm too ugly. Remember that time when somebody told me I was stupid? That's what the whole room's going to be feeling. And your voice, if it's saying to you in the right manner, can help tip that either way. So if you listen to your inner critic, it can be learnt behaviour to do that, and it can come from a place of. So for example, if the only person you ever really had to talk to you was you, then you come to trust that conversation. If when you're in a noisy childhood and there's lots going on, you don't have a voice, then that voice internalises. So there's lots of different reasons. But I believe in the power of positivity. I do genuinely believe that by helping your brain realise it has an antidote to negativity, not necessarily by changing what you're saying, but by changing the tone with which you say it to yourself. So for example, clients that I've worked with, if they're watching this, will think, oh yes, I remember we did that, because I have found it's a helpful process. And that is to imagine when we're working together that I am the cheerleader in the room. So when you're saying, what did you do that for, to yourself, I become the cheerleader in the room and say, come on, what did you do that for? You can do better. Come on, this is brilliant. And that sounds very different, but I'm saying the same thing. What did you do that for? Come on, what did you do that for? It's very different. So it's about working with a counsellor in order to understand that sometimes your inner critic can be saying wonderful things, but if you're not listening to them in the right manner, or they're not being said to you in the right tone, then they don't always feel wonderful. Sometimes they can feel pretty awful, and they can convince you that that learnt behaviour that you've put in place for yourself by yourself is actually not reality. That you can change the way your inner critic talks to you. So the change of tone, the rewriting of the content, sometimes changing it from a statement of fact, what did you do that for, to a question, what did you do that for? Come on! All of those things, and the tone can counteract. So you can still say the same things, but actually they're beneficial because you're saying them and you're accepting them in a different way. So separate yourself from the positive versus the negative. It's back to what we've talked about before, that there is often a breath, a pause, that you don't always notice is there. But if you can engage with that and rerun the video, rerun that message in your head, then that makes the difference of how you hear it and how it feels. It's not great to have somebody who is always with you, ready to blame, shame, guilt, point out your vulnerabilities. But it's actually, it can be pretty wonderful to have somebody who's always with you, to point out things that you might or might not have really paused and engaged with, but to point them out in a positive manner. It's about being kind to yourself. As we spoke about in the self-esteem, as we've spoken about in virtually every waffle that I've sat and done, it's about change. Change how you feel, and mostly change how you respect yourself, how you talk to yourself, the manner with which you talk to yourself, and feed the positivity, because it is there. It's just sometimes it's difficult to see or to remember to even look for it in the first place. So counselling in the inner critic can be very helpful, I hope, in that it can help remind you the first point of call doesn't always have to be a negative one. And sometimes it's just taking the weight of that off your shoulders and realising that there are different options, and that even includes, and especially should include, how you feel about yourself and how you talk to yourself, because that has an impact on how you connect with who you are right now and within all of the other situations that we talked about, whether it's social anxiety, whether it's self-esteem, whether you're grieving, whether you're going through the menopause. You know, the list is endless, but the content and the tone of the content could be really beneficial in all of them, or any of them, if it came from a place of positivity and it was felt as warmth towards yourself. So as always, this has been Tina McDonald Counselling. Please have a look at the Facebook page, the website. Leave me some comments. You're very quiet, folks. Leave me some comments. Please subscribe. And let's get it out there that there are conversations that we can have in and out of the counselling room that might be helpful. Just that one thing that might spark off a moment of positive pause. And that's what I hope that these waffles are doing. They're being helpful to somebody at some point. They're there online. You can dip in and out of them, use them as as life in our unique way throws up at us, and that they're given from a place of genuine concern and help and love. So thanks very much for your time. Stay safe out there. Bye-bye.